Hi, this is Brian McMullen with Keep It Simple podcast. Today, I'm interviewing Paul Brown of Real Quick Funds. He is not only a smart guy, and I mean smart, but he's a friend. He's personable. He makes me feel comfortable asking questions, and he's just so down to earth. And he's got a great business, and I want to share that with you and share some of his insights. So, enjoy. Hello, this is Brian with Keep It Simple podcast with Brian McMullen. So guess what? It's so great that I'm here. Um, um, I'm here with the owner of Real Quick Funds, Paul Brown. Paul and I have been talking with each other for about 2 years now. We are both in the real estate world, both in the funding world, funding projects and investing in those kind of projects. So, Paul, thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. It's good to be here.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna dive in. We're just gonna have a casual conversation. So let's go for it. Okay.
All
So
right.
tell me, you're in Utah, correct?
Yeah. I'm just south of Salt Lake City, back in
Okay.
Utah.
And how long have you been doing? Well, let's back up even further. So I was in the insurance business for 27 years. How many years were you in the insurance business?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. I never counted it, but not 27. I think I went into insurance in 2000 and something,
Okay.
five ish, and
Okay.
I left in 23. So 18 years.
Okay. So
Is
you
that
were
the right
in
math?
the overseas, right? You were doing stuff over
Yeah.
in Japan, right?
I spent a good portion of it, 10 of the 18 years. I probably spent over 10 of it in Japan and Singapore and managing portfolios around the world. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
really lucky.
Yeah, that sounds like it was an amazing, ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
What made you step away from that?
My parents. So, and you don't always get to see your decisions and go, hey, that was the right decision, in life. But I was sitting in Singapore, wonderful country, but not a place for me. I grew up in Utah, mountains, tons of open space, elevation, dry climate.
Yeah,
Singapore's really, really small, really, really flat, really humid. So, wonderful place, wonderful people. So I was debating, hey, what am I going to do? I'm not sure how long I want to live here. I'd love living in Japan. It's essentially like California. It's about as north and south, very
mhm,
diverse. It's a wonderful place to live. But I was sitting there thinking about it, and really, it was my family that started pressing on me. My kids loved it. The international school and stuff was really fun for them. I didn't mind the wages as an expat living abroad. That wasn't abusive at all. And I realized, I'm too far away from my parents, and they're at a place in life where I don't know how long I have them. And
yeah,
so I quit my job. They treated me incredibly well. They essentially treated me like they fired me as far as long-term stuff. And yeah, I was really blessed. They were very kind to me. Quit my job,
yeah,
moved back to Utah, and my dad has had heart problems for a while, and we just lost him this like last October. So I got a good solid 2 years of being able to hang out with him and harass him on the phone and grocery shop each week. And
yeah,
precious 2 years. I'm so glad. That's what I mean by you don't always get to look back and go, that was a good call.
yeah,
But that was one of the best career decisions I ever made. And then it took me into real estate and lending. I came home thinking, okay, I just quit my job.
yeah.
So one, I need to go find a house. So I just knocked doors and said, will you sell or finance your house? Like if it was on the market, I just asked them that. If they said no, then I left.
So you just knocked on doors?
Well, just people that listed their houses and just
Yeah, yeah,
said, hey,
yeah.
will you sell or finance your house? Nope. Okay. Well, you want to come in and check? No, you're not seller financing. I'm not interested because
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
quit my job.
Yeah,
Right. So no bank's
well,
giving me any
again, I
money.
mean, that's what I was gonna say because I sold my insurance agent. I was more on the customer service side of the business than you, I think. But I sold my business, and all of a sudden, all the lenders who had been lending to me all of a sudden they didn't like me as much anymore, right?
Yeah, yeah, they don't like you as much when you don't have a job. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, there's something
So
about that.
we live where we live because they said, "Yeah, sure." The real estate agent actually said, "Yeah, they might do it for a couple years." The guy signed a 10-year seller carry with me.
I think once people, the first thing up in front, I know I feel this way. First thing when you say self-rent, they're like, "Oh no, I want my money," right? And
Yeah.
then they start to if they start to realize all the benefits of that for them, and obviously if they need that money to put down a big chunk on the next house, that's a different
Yeah.
animal. But they realize the benefits, the tax benefits, and then of course, hey, just getting a check every month is really kind of cool, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, and this guy was a perfect scenario. He already had another home in St. George where they were moving to, so he didn't need money for a home. He had a second place here. He has a condo in Salt Lake so that he can come up and watch Utah football games. So he
Okay.
comes up, has a place to crash. So he didn't need it. The agent was, and I'm not bad talking agents. My mom was an agent for part of her career. Absolutely amazing. Lots of agents are fantastic. This agent's
Some
actually a
some
really
of them
nice
are
guy.
blockers, right?
But he just, yeah, he was, I don't know if he was trying to be conservative or what, but I almost walked from it after the conversation with the agent, but then talked to the homeowner and he was super cool. And so now we have 7 or 8 years left on a seller finance gig.
There you go.
And then I got into real estate. I came back thinking, okay, I'm going to be able to see my parents. How am I going to make money? I've always loved buying stuff in real estate. Maybe I should go do real estate. And then as I started looking into multifamily and, starting to put bids out and doing different things, somebody reached out and asked me if I'd lend money on a fix and flip. And
Okay.
everything shifted. That call changed what I did for the next 2.5 years.
Isn't
Crazy,
that
huh?
interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
interesting. So for me, it was I sold my business and I knew I couldn't buy another house for a while, so I wasn't trying to. And I had some funds in the bank. I'm like, what am I gonna do with these funds? I don't want to just go buy something because I have it. What am I? And so I started lending, and it kind of changed my world too, just like that. And it was about
that
2.5, 3 years ago now.
that's awesome. You're much more thoughtful and proactive. You actually thought, okay, I have this money. I'm going to go leverage it. I'm going to start a lending business. I was heading east. Somebody made a phone call and I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds interesting. And then turned completely and went west. You know?
That's
um, but it's
yeah,
been a great ride. I first started out, as you know, I started out in subordinate lending, doing second position. And that is just a brutal world. And eventually, after millions of dollars of lending and lots of deals, we realized it's harder to sleep doing this. I don't really enjoy this as much. There's a lot you end up adding a whole nother wing of your business, which is debt collection. So instead of adding it to my business, yeah, instead of adding it to my business, we actually started a whole separate thing. The guy that I would ping and say, "Hey, can you help me collect on this?" Him and I just started up a debt collections business. So we have a
yeah,
company called North Peak Recovery and we collect debt and we're starting an overage wing to that business of collecting that kind of money. And then I just got out of the lending side on that. So instead of
yeah.
leaving lending completely, I said, I'm not going to do this second position. I did an eighth position loan once. So that's why I don't say second position, I say subordinate, because
Yeah.
sometimes I was subordinate to seventh position,
Wow.
but
Okay. No.
left
No,
that and
thanks.
then transitioned into escrow protected funding. And that's what I've done for the last year and a half. I love it. It keeps growing every month. It's so much fun.
So so can you give a high level explanation of that? Because it's something I'm not totally involved in and I don't understand. So
Yeah.
high
Yeah.
level.
So it's almost as safe as what you do because your first position, you have a asset, you're super safe. It's in the same range of that safety in that the products we do are things like a double close. So we send money into title, it sits in an escrow account, it facilitates a transaction, it never leaves to anybody,
Yeah.
and then it comes back to us. So we'll do something called a stack deal. It's the same way. We're facilitating down payment funds. It goes into escrow. It moves through a couple stages of a transaction, never leaves to anybody, comes back to us with our fee. And then
So
we'll do big EMDs. Everybody's familiar
so
with
if
EMDs.
I yeah, so if I have a client who's interested in that, we can hop on a Zoom and talk about that because I think that would be awesome if I could hear that explanation over and over and over again to help me kind of understand so I can kinda help your business
Yeah.
because I feel like there's a lot of people out there with a lot of, different, ideas of what they wanna do, and they just wanna start somewhere, but at some point, they're like, "Hey, what if I put a little bit over here?" And so I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that. So we need to find, a mutual client that we could maybe get on a Zoom and talk about these things because I think that would be really cool. Because you're doing something I'm not doing, and it sounds to me like and vice versa, right?
Well, the nice thing is almost so all of our stack deals include somebody like you. There's always somebody that's bringing the primary funds, and the more that they understand and are on board with what we're doing, the easier the whole thing is.
Right.
So, but unlike you, you usually will go in and you'll fund tip to tail on a whole transaction, which is really rare, but the average hard money lender might do 80%.
Mhm.
We'll come in and we'll facilitate that 20, the closing costs, maybe even their first draw amount. So it might be 35%. We'll facilitate that. The way we exit, though, is through the seller's funds. So either through their profits, through them reinvesting in the project or something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
But
I
we
love that.
exit immediately.
Yeah, a little too deep for this conversation today, but
Hey,
yeah, I definitely think that we should have another conversation around that topic because I
that'd be
think
fun.
because one of the things I in my business I'm looking for is relationships, good relationships. People who I know will show up and do the thing, right? And so that's how I feel about you. That's why we've connected, and so I'd love to kind of dive deep into that. So you are doing this I mean, for me, if I'm doing 5, 6 projects a month, that's pretty consistent, where I would like to be. How many projects do you have to do a month to make this worth your while?
Depends the size of the projects.
Yeah.
It could be about the same as you, right?
Mhm.
Um, if we're doing we don't have very high fee on our stuff, but if we're doing, say, $1 million stack deal,
Mhm.
then even a couple percent
Is good.
ends up being a decent little chunk of change. You do
Yeah.
a handful of those, that stacks up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So we don't need to do a lot of them unless we're doing really small stuff. So we will, like today, I think we have a couple deals like that go today. They're like 150,000 ish each. You got to do a bit of those, you know?
Yeah, yeah, to make a
But
living,
yeah,
pay all your overhead, pay your partner. Yeah, I mean,
pay the
it's not
refers. Yeah, I think we have a pretty lucrative referral scheme for our partners that come in. We'll take the entire gross earnings. Let's say that we did a larger stack, something like that, and it made $20,000. The We have a really simple math. Half the money goes to capital and operations, TC, right? All that stuff. So half goes out. The remaining we deem gross profits.
right.
We split that 50-50 with our referrer. So we take half as profit as an operator and we give them half as the
Yeah,
referrer. And it works out pretty good. Referrers
it's a
can make
great
a pretty
return
good
for
buck
them,
off of it.
and because you know what you're doing, it's safe,
And
and
they do
yeah,
nothing. I mean,
yeah,
they
and they
don't
do
do
nothing.
nothing. They
Yeah.
refer it. They have the relationship, which we both know is really valuable. And
Mhm.
that's why we're willing to pay them so much. But they don't have to deal with, oh crap, which contract is it? Where is it? Do I need to call title? Wait, where's the capital coming from? They don't have to deal with any of
Yeah.
the stress. So it works out good for both of us. Like I'll offer it to friends because I'm pretty happy to be able to let somebody make that kind of money on their money without doing anything at all.
I think that's kind of interesting you said that because that's how I feel too. It's like I'm not asking the borrowers to literally, eat their shorts here. I'm not doing that. And there's people in the industry that are promising these humongous returns to the lenders, but I don't wanna do that. That to me is risky, and every deal that I've ever done that feels like that tends to be really not so great. And so,
Yeah,
the deals that I find are the ones that are the best are the ones that we consistently have people show up and the bills get paid and everybody's happy and we can do it again and again and again. So
yeah, yeah.
that's how I feel about it too.
That's awesome, and your investors just keep getting a nice stable return.
Yep.
They
Uh,
come to you, they give you their money, it's really well protected, they get a good return. They wanna keep giving you money and keep
yeah,
getting a return. Yeah, yeah. That's the
exactly.
best. You don't yeah.
So, so Paul and I, talk weekly. We kind of do like a bit of accountability because his business is different than my business, and we can talk shop, and we do this all the time. And this morning, I think what was the theme that we were talking about? We're talking about education and educating ourselves and how we continually find new ways to put ourselves in the right room or the right position so we learn and get better. And so that's the light that's why I brought you on because I'm like every time I talk with you, I'm inspired by something, Paul. You're always giving, and I really appreciate that about you. So,
Thank you,
um,
Brian. That was
yeah,
too nice of you since you're the one that brought up the topic in the call today. But it is such a great topic, and I'm sure your audience is probably on the exact same page with us that sometimes it's really worth so one, it's good to be in the right rooms. Surround yourself with the right people. Surround yourself with people that raise your grade point average, not that lower it. But also, it's actually worth spending and investing money into some rooms. Sometimes that hurdle, you have to spend money to be in the group. Sometimes that hurdle filters well, and it makes the group even better to be in. But there is definitely a research component to that, right? You can also spend money and just be and
yeah,
really regret what you just did with your money. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
S-
Oh, we all have those regrets sometimes, right?
Have you always been that way? Did you always think, hey, it's worth paying for masterminds? It's worth doing this kind of thing. How did that evolve with you to that mindset?
Yeah, that is hard. That's something that I still have to push through. It's like, dude, I can just do this. I don't need to, you know, I think it was never about I don't need to do that. I always thought that I needed the education and to be in the right spot. But what I have a problem with is this person really gonna be able to help me? Is this person real?
Mm.
Is this person is this person just trying to pitch a sales pitch here, or are they actually have want to bring value to and and see you succeed? I think that's probably the my biggest hurdle is like, do I believe in that person's ability?
That's great. That's great. Yeah, for me, it's never been in my thought process. I was so traditional, right, growing up. And
Mhm.
if you just think about my education alone, it screams it, right? I went to undergraduate and got an engineering degree. And then after working in engineering for a bit, I went to grad school and got an MBA in finance. Like, it's that conservative path that they say, here's what you do: get good grades, go to school, get a job, do well, go to grad school, then get another job, get a C-class job. You just won Monopoly, right? And so I never had the creative mindset with education. To me, the creative education was YouTube, right? I'll just go learn it myself wherever. And I think that for me, because my mind wasn't this open, opening up the education part of the brain to say, you know what, go get educated by other people, groups,
Yeah.
masterminds, pay to go to a mastermind, go do this week. That has really been a lifting experience for me. I've elevated my game in a number of things. I pay for a personal coach, right? I've
So
done that. I've done a number of things that I'm really glad
so
I did.
interesting. I'm thinking. I mean, you're asking this question, and this is just on. I wasn't expecting the question, so thank you for doing it. But I had a number of coaches when I was in my insurance business, so I do believe in someone can help me, right? And it did help me grow my insurance business. But my problem is I like the one on one. I don't like the big room, and I'm not the guy who seeks out the person who's teaching the class and tries to get a shake his hand and have a conversation with that person for 40 minutes while everybody else is waiting for it. I'm not I'm not I'm gonna stand in the back of the room and watch, and sometimes that's my biggest burden is I don't on
Yeah.
myself, which is I don't put myself somehow in a better position to be more connected with those people, and I
Yeah.
tend to stand in the back room, and again, I know it hurts me. I'm learning things, yeah, but I'm not learning them as efficiently as I could. I think that's
Yeah.
my big negative, if I had to say.
We share that tendency for sure of not necessarily hunting down all the popular people in the
Yeah.
mastermind or whatever and snuggling up with them. We share that tendency. Sorry for the
Yeah.
little bit of sarcasm there. And
Well,
they're
no, it's
usually
true though.
amazing people.
It's
They're great
true.
people. Yeah,
Yeah, they're great people, and they're just normal people, and 99% of the time, if I walked up to them, they'd probably shake my hand, smile, and
of
love to have the
course.
conversation. This isn't their fault. It's mine.
It's yeah, it's that we kind of hold back. The kind of back on the coaching thing, if I can jump back to it a little bit.
Please.
One thing that I had to get past personally was I remember the first executive coach I ever had at work. I remember when we hired her and a certain group of people were allowed to book meetings with her, right? And I remember, I still remember, I don't remember much in life. I remember her name. She was fantastic. I remember thinking, why am I doing this? What does she know about running insurance products? Like, what does she know about managing the P&L of the Northeast US? Like, right? Which is such a small minded way of thinking. And then for some reason, I started meeting with her and realized this person that knows nothing about my job can really help me elevate in my
Yeah.
position. Right. And I have tried to keep that mindset with coaches. And so as I've dealt with it in the last couple of years, great coach that I've worked with on and off that lives not far from me. I've never met him in person. He probably lives 2 miles away. Um, he has nothing to do at all with anything I've ever done in my life. Engineering, finance, insurance, lending, anything, right? He'll he's got an amazing background in politics and governing and tech and communications and stuff, but he has just a gift of coaching. And so he can push me to be better without teaching me technical stuff about my business. He
Yeah.
teaches me about being a better leader. He teaches me about being a better me, taking that better me into the business, which improves the business. And that has really helped for me to just accept that, okay, he doesn't know anything about he sent me a text the other day about why I wasn't using AI to do interest rate arbitrage. That is a finance so far away from what I do. Like it's
Yeah.
harder to find a point on the finance scheme further away from what I do than interest rate arbitrage. And right, but he doesn't need to know what I do. He can coach so well.
Yeah.
Um, and I think everybody should be open minded to that. I'm kind of talking at you through you to your audience at how much do we challenge ourselves? Because I'm weak at this. That's why I'm preaching because I'm preaching to myself too.
Yeah,
I'm
for
weak
sure.
at pay some money and have somebody that's going to challenge you and push you to be better. And don't let yourself use the excuse that, yeah, but they don't really know, fill in the blank, right? If they're a good coach, they'll make you better. And if you're better, everything you do is better,
Yeah.
right? Anyway, that's my little
Uh,
soapbox speech
I
for
love it.
coaching.
I love it because, like I said, I tend to forget that, yeah, I haven't had a one-on-one coach in real estate
Mm,
ever. It was always all my one-on-one coaching was always pre-real estate in the insurance world, and I haven't done that, and I think that's a great call. Maybe that's my goal this year is to figure out the person. right? That I can use as a sounding board, use as accountability, like you and I are doing a lot,
Yeah.
and maybe just kind of push me to that next level. I think that's huge. Yeah, I think a lot of people I'm trying to reach out to with this podcast are the people you've just hit all the buttons, by the way. I mean, like you said, you went to school because someone told you to go to school, and you graduated and you got that degree because someone did it. And I didn't go to school like you did. I went to work, you know?
You took the
And
other traditional path.
yeah, the traditional
Go
path,
make
go down
money
and
now.
work, put your head down and go, you know?
Yeah.
And I did that for a long time, built a business. I'm very proud of my insurance business, how I built it and did all the things. Um, but yeah, since I decided to follow a little bit of my passion, which is the real estate thing, I haven't had a one-on-one coach. I've had mentors, I've had, bigger rooms I've been in, but I haven't done this, what you're
Haven't had
doing.
a coach. It could be
Yeah,
interesting. Now, we've talked about you learning in relatively small groups from some super amazing
yeah,
lenders, and that's awesome. I need to do more of that. But yeah, it is an interesting thought of, and it's a little bit like that is it Raiders of the Lost Ark or whatever, and he's going through and it comes up to the drop off, right? And it says something like only the faithful will pass or something like that. And he steps out and it turns out you couldn't see it, but there was a walkway. It's kind of that moment of, I don't know if this is really going to work. I don't know if this is going to be valuable. I do know that I'm spending money. The only thing I know is money's leaving my wallet.
yeah,
And then you step off and you go, okay, but I'm just going to try it. I'm just going to bet on this. Um, and hopefully everybody has the same experience that I've had, which is, oh, that was worth it. That was fantastic.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, maybe I need to get 2 different coaches so I can get different angles, like,
No,
it's
no, but
so great to have
yeah,
people challenge you that care, right? They're
yeah,
just saying, "I really want Brian to just kill it in what he's doing, so how can I challenge Brian to make the best Brian possible?" And it's so cool to have somebody like that around, right?
yeah, I love it. I love it. You're encouraging me to make some changes again.
Oh,
Dang
look,
it.
I'm trying to say, and by the way, I don't run any coaching and I can't sell any
What? What?
no
Wait,
affiliate
wait, wait,
links.
hold on. 2X insurance people and we're not selling anything? What the
Yeah,
heck?
I don't even have an affiliate link.
There we go. Well, hey, thank you so much, Paul. Tell
Yeah.
us, how could we find you, or how could my people watching this find you?
Awesome. We do most of our business off a website, realquickfunds.com. And then my personal Instagram is oftentimes easiest. It's Paul Brown Funds with an underscore between the words, Paul underscore Brown underscore funds.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks,
Paul,
man.
thank you so much for jumping. We did. There's a whole bunch we didn't even get into that I probably could have another part two of, but let's just hold off here and keep this one.
Keep it short.
Well, thank you,
Thank you
Paul, for
so
being
much,
my
Brian.
friend. Yeah, no, thank
Thank
you for
you.
being my friend. I appreciate you, buddy.
You too. I appreciate it. Take it easy.
Thanks.